everybody. Welcome back to Pickled Geeks. Today, there are 3 glasses because
we have a guest today. And we're talking about dragons.
Yeah, and dungeons, actually.
Oh, we're not just talking about dragons?
No.
Oh.
It's a very, very diverse conversation. But
I don't know enough about Birth of No Dragons. Or dungeons.
All right, Daenerys.
Who's that?
Oh, girl, you got so much to learn. So much to learn.
So, Dungeons and Dragons, this one plays, and so I do not, so I've always wanted...
But you do drink.
Thank you. Yeah, where's that? In front of us?
It is.
So he's telling me to hurry up. But I'm saying that I'm excited about the Dungeons and Dragons. So, the tie-in, I saw something on the internet. This drink is called Ice Dragon. So we have ice, and we have blueberry vodka, right?
Delicious.
So we're gonna put nope. We're gonna put some vanilla milkshake in there. This calls for sherbet, but a vanilla milkshake is like sherbet to me.
For sure. And one step closer to drinkable, so...
Oh, God. Look how cute that is.
It's adorable. If you wanted to give me a little extra, I wouldn't be heartbroken.
All right, here's a little extra.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm a diabetes talking.
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'm going to be in charge of topping.
Okay, so we're just going to kind of pour it in there. Oh, wow.
Ooh, it does look very ice
Look how
dragon-y.
pretty it is. Uh-oh. Look, you barely have any. Oh, no, we'll be all right.
We're going to be okay.
Sort of.
I got extra ice cream. It's okay.
I went.
And then we're going to top them. It's like a float. Ooh.
Yeah, that's what it does.
Fun.
That's so pretty. I went a little heavy on mine, but that's fine.
I went a little heavy on yours too. So.
All right, we'll be all right.
We will be. Should we have a little taste before Chuck gets a taste?
We do. We will.
Ready?
Yeah. We're supposed to kind of stir it a little.
Are we?
Yeah.
All right.
Look how pretty that is.
It's beautiful. Cheers.
Sure.
Ooh. The blueberry really comes through. Wow.
Can you taste the ice cream yet? I think it's supposed to melt in
I can't
there.
taste the ice cream so much, but I can taste the vodka. Delicious.
I may have mismeasured.
I have never known you to hold back on the booze. But on that note, I think Chuck's getting lonely. Let's head over to the table.
Come on, let's go.
Do it. Take my drink and Chuck's drink.
Yeah, so you take Chuck's drink.
1.
Hi.
And here we are
Back at the table.
with our good friend.
Chuck.
Me? Oh.
You. We're finally talking about Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm so excited because this one plays and this one plays. I don't know nothing. What?
You'll be playing soon too.
Well, I played in the 80s where we had, I believe, a board game, and it was Circle, and it had a multi-sided big die. Does that sound familiar? In the 80s?
That's Dungeons and Dragons, the board game.
Yes, long ago. But you still had to pretend like you're somebody, like I'm walking down the hallway. Right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but maybe not.
Okay.
On that note, I'm going to try this delicious ice dragon.
The drink is called Ice Dragon. Chuck, please try it with your complimentary beverage.
It is a little better now that it's melted.
I know, right?
Real creamy.
Very good.
Similar, I mean, you get...
It's a little strong. Is
I
that
know.
normal?
Let's say Flora's bartending, yes.
Wah.
Measurement is a suggestion for Laura.
It's all right, but how pretty is it? I just keep saying.
It's really pretty.
So, I want to start, but then I don't know how to start. I mean, I obviously know. I mean, let's do it for the beginners out there. Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing game that started in Wisconsin by a group of guys playing in their basement. Is that true, Chuck?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm done.
Okay.
Because that's it.
Gary Gygax.
Okay.
Right? Gygax.
Gygax and his family members and friends
Is credited with creating it.
Okay.
And they started TSR, which I can't remember what TSR stands for. Can you help? Can you remember?
Tactical Strategic Review?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
We're going to make things up tonight.
Exactly. Comment. Correct us. We love that.
Well, yeah. The only hyphen I know, or acronym, is the RPG. The RPG! What's up?
Yeah.
Role-playing game.
Right.
You looked at me like I was...
No.
Oh, was the yelling?
Yes, right. You were so excited about
RPG! We'll cut it.
We might.
Or not.
But, yes. So go ahead. You're on a real roll.
But that was it. I forgot what I was saying. Is just I didn't know that there are other games besides Dungeons and Dragons. I guess that, I mean, what constitutes an RPG?
Oh my gosh. That is a loaded question. I would say that most of it takes place in the theater of the mind, meaning that there's not a lot of boards and manipulatives and pieces, that it's mostly, you could play with just pencil, paper, and conversation.
Okay.
Does that sound accurate? You're really the expert.
I would say so. It's a spectrum, because when you start talking about back in when it started, they only had paper and pencil. Computers, people in the 60s didn't have computers. So they really started with someone's idea, and they had their little pads of paper, and even dice. Back in the day, you didn't have all these funky dice. So it's evolved over time, and people have added in, like, we use actually a virtual desktop so people can remote into our games, and we use Zoom, so we use technology so we can expand. We use tools to actually roll up our characters because it's gotten more complex, and it just sort of streamlines some of the processes. But it's more or less theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I love that. I love theater of any sort. Don't make me sing. Don't make me sing.
Don't make me sing.
Don't make me sing. If I wanted to join your group, would I be laughed out of your headset?
You are asking a loaded question because
Okay,
we have rules.
Okay.
So let's talk about your group first.
Yeah. So, I mean, summarizing, you're a part of how many groups?
I have one regular group that last summer we celebrated 30 years. And up until COVID, I was the new guy. And I'm a year behind the original group.
Okay.
So this year I celebrate
Hilarious.
30, they celebrate 31.
Okay, well.
But we've lost people and added people over the years. So.
Yes. Anyway.
My group is not nearly as experienced as Chuck's. We started playing during COVID. And so we started on an online platform. And so we've continued because now I've moved cities, so I don't live near them, and that's the beauty.
But you
of
don't
it.
have to.
I don't have to. We play on Wednesday nights, and we all log in online, and we use Discord and Roll20, and sometimes D&D Beyond, depending on which game we're playing. Those are our three platforms that we use.
And that you needed to download the application to your computer and pay a fee? Or?
Honestly, you don't have to pay for any of them. I do pay for D&D Beyond because I like to have more than, I think they limit 6 characters, but I like to have more characters than that.
And I use Hero Lab,
Okay.
which is like D&D Beyond.
Yep.
But I also use D&D Beyond. It depends on what campaign you're talking.
Yeah. Different things for different, like we're playing, right now we're not actually playing D&D, we're playing the new Marvel, or newish Marvel RPG. And so we're just using Roll20 right now. That's all we're using.
And we're playing a Pathfinder, which Pathfinder and D&D are very similar.
Yes.
Pathfinder came out and we all called it D&D 3.75.
So, but you just can't switch. You have to finish your campaign before you start another one with this group. You can't have multiple campaigns going on, or can you?
You can pause a campaign.
Right.
You get to a logical end of a chapter or end of a book, and you go on to something else, and you come back to the first chapter of the next book.
Yeah.
And for actually several years, we did every other week because we had one very long campaign going on, and we broke that up by every other week we would do shorter, we call them one-shots, where it's just 1 or 2 weeks.
And one-shots can be fun, but they can be a lot of work to set up your character and your background and how you're going to play it.
But the beauty of that is usually on a one-shot you're going to start at like a mid-level, like level 6 or something.
Okay.
Because you only have 1 or 2 nights. So you don't want to, only have 12 points and you're dead kind of thing.
Okay. Well, there's no hierarchy of you're winning D&D tonight. There's nothing like that. You go until you can't go anymore by a stone or a dragon, or I don't know, or somebody hits you over the head with a Sears catalog. I mean, meaning that
all potentially could happen.
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't win Dungeons and Dragons. You just finish the campaign. And please tell me what the exact phrase is, because that'll help me understand. Because finish the campaign, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
You don't finish the game, because that's not a game.
Think of a campaign as either a book or a series of books. So the campaign could be, we want to get all the way up to this point where either we achieve the final goal or we're all dead.
So there is a final goal. It's not just like Mama Bear, Papa Bear, Goldilocks, and Big Bad Wolf comes in. There's a goal for all 4 or 5 of them to reach.
Oh,
different.
This is going to be a long episode, folks.
I told you. I have a lot of questions.
And they're good questions, because I would actually argue you can win or lose the campaign.
Yes.
I mean, we've had campaigns where we played for months, and then when it came time to defeat the final boss or complete the final goal, we screwed it up.
And no one got it?
No, so it's usually a total party kill.
TPK.
And
total party kill.
Nobody walks away.
Oh, is that what TPK means?
Yes. Total party kill. You could have a random...
We'll put it down below.
Random side adventure, a random encounter could kill your entire party.
Yeah.
So you may just be going to the next town and something happens and you're all dead.
Yeah.
And I think for me that's part of the magic, because I don't usually run the game. I'm usually not the DM or the GM. But the beauty, some of your best sessions are when you go off on some wild tangent with, Louis the dwarf in the bar that was supposed to be this side character that didn't say anything, and the next thing you know, you're married to his cousin and you've got 3 kids and you just had a big family vacation, and the dungeon master didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh.
Exactly. Sometimes adventures seem like they're on rails and you have to do A, then B, then C, but sometimes there's flexibility, especially depending on your dungeon master, where someone could go, I'm doing this, and it really just takes the adventure in a completely different
Okay, so let's get to the hardware of it all. And I love these books, and I love this, but let's get to your hardware rolling. I mean, you have dice. I mean, dice is more important than your little figures as... Or not.
You've just made a judgment.
Yes.
So, in D&D, if you are using a map and a board, your figurines might be important.
Yeah.
But on a virtual tabletop, we have virtual characters that we can move about. Your dice are important for determining success and failure. They could be physical or they could be virtual. There are role-playing games that don't use any dice. Dogs of the Vineyard doesn't use dice.
Okay.
So it's more storytelling. So there are game systems that are RPGs that are no dice, no characters, no maps. It's truly theater of the mind. and the person running it has to describe it well. And you have attributes, so you could call into the fact, I could be playing someone pious, and I could say, I use my pious attribute to try and win this battle. And battles are not necessarily physical, they could be, I'm trying to get what I want, I need to win.
So how do people not talk over the other players when you're saying...
Girl, good question.
That's an assumption.
That is an assumption. It happens all the time, nonstop. But I think that is where your game master comes in and helps manage that. Experience of playing with the same group helps with that.
And it can. Likewise, playing with a group of complete strangers, you tend to be a little bit more polite.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So, and there are times that I have to check myself because I will talk. And it's like, all right, at my convention, I need to really tone it down a little.
So, is there a maximum amount of players on this one campaign or game, or?
There's an optimum number because you want to have enough players to have characters that you have the skills to complete your goal.
Okay.
But you don't want to have too many because then each round of whatever you're doing takes that much longer.
Just to give you an example, a round of combat is 6 seconds.
Of game time.
Okay. So if I draw my sword and attack somebody, that's 6 seconds.
And then is there a timer? How do you know it's exactly 6 seconds?
No, that's just, so in the game, whatever I do, chances are it's going to take me a lot longer than 6 seconds to describe how I
kick somebody's
spent
ass?
my
Right.
6 seconds.
It could take Steve a minute, 2 minutes, but if you have 4 players or 6 players, that's 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 12 minutes. If you have 7, 10 players, that's 20 minutes per round.
Right.
Okay.
And it's always been funny to me because a lot of your spells and conditions and things will have a time limit on it. And it's very common for the time limit to just be a minute. But in the game, that usually will get you through the majority of the battle is 1 minute duration.
Yeah.
Because each little turn is only spent in 6 seconds. So you have 10 turns essentially until that effect or spell wears off.
So you ask a lot of good questions.
You do.
You know, I think you would benefit by playing, so we should roll you up a character.
Well, how do you roll me up a character?
Again, there's multiple options for that, depending on how your dice work.
Okay,
But
so...
typically you have 6 attributes, and you're going to roll a 20-sided dice and assign those rolls to your different attributes.
Depending.
So none
You
of
could
these
do
are
an average, but
Is this 20? I don't think so. Is that bigger one 20? I
we
can't tell.
have multiple 20s, but yeah, that's a big 20.
So, okay, let's talk about the dice. I was under the impression that perhaps these dice for Dungeons and Dragons would have does it determine the path you're going, or does it determine what kind of character you are, or what kind of weapon you are carrying?
So you decide what kind of character you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the dice could determine how strong you are, how wise you are. So you roll up your character, and when you, depending on, it's hard to answer a question like this because it's such a broad field. But if you're doing old-fashioned rolling of dice, you would roll them and then figure out, oh, this character is better as a fighter or a rogue. In the newer versions, like in Pathfinder, you basically decide, I want a 17 strength or 16 strength, and this is how I'm going to get there, and I have an idea. You don't go in there necessarily rolling the dice. It's more standardized. Back in the day when you'd roll dice, you could have someone who rolls really well and someone who rolls really poorly. And then you have, for the entire campaign, someone's going, my character's horrible. I can't do anything.
My character's really dumb because I had to give that 6 to my intelligence.
Yeah.
And so I'm dumb the whole game.
Or I have to be klutzy, like I am in real life.
Yeah.
No.
I fall down a
You're
flight
fine.
of stairs.
I would
You're
actually
fine.
say that is, for me...
Let's toast.
Someone heard me falling downstairs.
I know, something happened.
But I would say for me that is one of the best things about digital platforms. They balance those characters out.
And you
Right.
don't use a physical die when you're on your headset or whatever it is. I imagine these people on their
Typically,
headset.
no.
So you don't say, "Oh, I just rolled a 19."
Well, you have a digital dice that you
right
click the
in
roll
there,
button
and everybody sees it.
Yes.
So it's not like you're cheating. You're like,
No.
this. So I really want to show these books because we're kind of going all over the map. That this is how it began, and everybody in your group, or this is a dungeon master.
This is how it began.
This is how it began.
Yeah.
And so, Dungeons and Dragons. Did the kids from Wisconsin make this initially?
See, Gary Gygax's name is there on the front.
Right there, Gary Gygax.
Blue.
So this is the beginning. This is how everybody played with a board game before Commodore 64 came out. I don't know. Right? I mean, it was
Right.
this for
Some
the
of
board
those
game?
words were right, but not all of them.
Usually. This is my...
Right.
So this is the guide for the folks, but would you use this in conjunction with a physical board game?
With a piece of paper to draw
With a
things
piece of
out and
paper.
your character sheets. That's really just one of the many rule books they put out. And it just gives you information. It's part of the framework.
I mean, and for me talking about the digital, it's also really great to have the maps in digital format. Because it used to be you would have to say, okay, the hallway goes 40 feet, and someone's there with pencil and paper drawing it for the group, and it is somewhat tedious.
Okay.
Now the game master is just opening up areas of the map for you to be able to see, and it does speed things along.
It does.
Is that the game master or the dungeon master? The DM?
Same thing.
Okay. And this book, which I love the cover, I love this. So what is this? This is more scenarios.
That's the edition Dungeon Master Guide. So this is what the Dungeon Master needs. It's full of charts, information. There is a first edition player's handbook that tells a player how do you create your character, how should you play, what each spell does. So one is for players, one is for Dungeon Master. And this
okay. I mean, there's so many questions, but one we didn't get to, real quick, is your figurines
My Little
here.
Miniatures?
And this one's too, with the literal dragons and...
Mine are actually from another game called Descent.
Descent?
Which I just needed some miniatures, so I grabbed them tonight on the way. But
okay.
yeah, so, but a dragon, an elemental...
But you don't, for, inspiration, you don't put those out when you're putting your headset on and you're D&D.
No, not anymore. I don't.
But if you played in person, it really helps. If you know you're going up against a dragon, you would put your characters around. So you could say, I'm 30 feet away, I'm 5 feet away, I'm 120 feet away.
And you here, put that next to one of your characters. They're somewhat scalable. So, your character is only taking up 1 square on the map, where the dragon's taking up 4.
And these two actually I had printed. These are 3D printed and painted by Hero Lab.
Yeah.
So that's a great way, you have a character idea. You can go to Hero Lab, actually build the character miniature and go, this is exactly what I want. This one has a duck and a sword in the ground, and the other one is a jock.
HeroLab.com.
And to give them a little shout out, they do it very affordably. I mean, to customize, the level of customization they allow
is amazing. And the other one that's out in front, this guy, he's a lead figure that I actually painted, and it takes forever to paint him.
That could be a whole nother episode too.
I'm not good at
painting miniatures.
I mean, and these dies too. This one was made out of a weight from fishing something or another.
We didn't have a D4 initially, so we made our own.
Back in the day, you had to survive with what you had.
That's right.
And so, all of this is great, but my head's going to explode, so I need another ice dragon.
And so, this could really go on for a very, very long time.
I do have more questions.
I know you do, but I think we can get those on the next episode.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Chuck, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Until next time, stay geeky.
Stay pickled.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I do need a refill.
Let's go.